a wild climbing bean, that your body recognizes better than some of the most expensive pharmaceutical drugs on Earth? Not because of a marketing campaign, not because of a trending wellness influencer, but because this bean literally contains the same molecule your brain is desperately trying to make when it breaks down. That molecule is dopamine, and this bean, Mucuna pruriens, makes it naturally. Right now, millions of people living with Parkinson's disease take a synthetic drug called Levodopa or L-DOPA every single day. It is the gold standard treatment for the disease. It works by crossing the blood-brain barrier and converting into dopamine. But here is the fact that almost nobody talks about. Mucuna prurien seeds contain naturally occurring L-DOPA, the exact same compound at concentrations between 4% and 7% by dry weight. That is not a folk remedy claim. That has been confirmed in peer-reviewed clinical trials published in journals like Neurology and the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. Mucuna pruriens, commonly called velvet bean, cowhage, or in India, capikachu, belongs to the family Fabaceae, the legume family. Its scientific name breaks down from the Latin mucus, slime, referring to its sticky pods, and the Sanskrit pruriens, itching, because the fine silica-based hairs on its seed pods cause intense skin irritation on contact. The plant is a vigorous annual climbing vine that can reach 15 meters in length under ideal conditions. It produces elongated, twisting pods, typically 4 to 13 centimeters long, that are covered in those notorious orange-brown hairs. Inside each pod are 4 to 6 seeds. These seeds are the most medicinally important part of the plant. They are flat, ovoid, and range in color from white to black, with most wild varieties appearing dark brown or mottled black. The plant produces dramatic, pendulous clusters of deep purple, violet, or white flowers, each cluster carrying 20 to 30 individual blooms. These flowers are not just beautiful, they are extraordinarily attractive to pollinators. Mucuna pruriens originates from tropical Africa and South Asia, with ancient cultivation records in India stretching back over 4,500 years. It appears in Ayurvedic texts under the name kapikachu, where it was used to treat conditions now recognized as neurological and hormonal disorders. Traditional healers in Africa, Central America, and the Caribbean independently documented this plant's powers without any contact with each other. That parallel discovery across continents is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence that this plant does something real. Most plants with medicinal value contain precursors or analogues of compounds your body uses. Mucuna pruriens skips the middle step entirely. It produces the direct precursor to dopamine, L-DOPA, in its seeds at pharmacologically relevant levels. No conversion required by the plant. It is, in the most literal scientific sense, a dopamine factory growing in the ground. And yet, outside of neurology research labs and Ayurvedic medicine circles, most of the world has never heard of it. Mucuna pruriens is, in the most honest agricultural terms, one of the most adaptable and forgiving crops on the planet. But it does have preferences, and understanding them separates a struggling crop from an explosive one. The plant is a tropical and subtropical species. It thrives at elevations from sea level up to 2,000 meters and requires an annual rainfall of 600 to 2,500 millimeters. It grows optimally in temperatures between 19 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees Celsius, 66 degrees Fahrenheit to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. It does not tolerate frost. Even a light frost will kill young plants. For soil, Mucuna pruriens is remarkably tolerant. It grows in loamy, sandy loam, and even degraded soils with pH values between 5.5 and 7.5. This matters enormously for developing world farmers. This is a crop that grows where other crops refuse to. It does not require nitrogen fertilizer because, like all legumes, it forms a symbiotic relationship with rhizobium bacteria in its root nodules, fixing atmospheric nitrogen directly into the soil. Studies from IITA, International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, have documented nitrogen fixation rates of 100 to 170 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare per season, comparable to industrial fertilization. Top producing and researching countries include India, the largest producer and consumer, primarily in states like Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh, Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, Brazil, Mexico, and Indonesia. India dominates global processing of mucuna for both agricultural and pharmaceutical purposes. Now the growth timeline, and it is an impressive one. Days 1 to 7, seeds germinate rapidly in warm, moist soil. Germination rates exceed 85% under proper conditions. Pre-soaking seeds in water for 12 to 24 hours dramatically improves germination speed. Days 7 to 21. The seedling establishes its root system and begins producing its characteristic trifoliate leaves, 3 leaflets per stem, oval-shaped with a slightly silvery sheen from fine surface hairs. Weeks 3 to 8, the vine begins aggressive climbing. It requires support. Trellises, fences, or companion trees work well. Left unsupported, it will sprawl across the ground, which still works but reduces pod yields. Weeks 8-14, flowering begins. The pendulous clusters of purple-violet flowers emerge and remain attractive to bees, wasps, and hawk moths for 3 to 5 weeks. This is the most visually dramatic phase of the plant. Weeks 14 to 22, pod set and maturation. Pods fill slowly. The hairy exterior intensifies as pods ripen. Pods are typically harvested at full maturity when they begin to darken and dry on the vine. This is when L-DOPA concentration in the seeds peaks. Total crop cycle, 5 to 7 months from seed to harvest. For home growers, Mucuna pruriens can absolutely be grown in large containers, minimum 20-liter pots with a tall support structure. However, yield is significantly higher in open ground with space for the vine to climb freely. One critical farming note: handle pods with gloves and long sleeves. The urticating hairs on fresh pods cause intense, long-lasting skin irritation. Once seeds are extracted and processed, dried, dehulled, and typically boiled or roasted, this irritation factor is completely eliminated. Parkinson's is caused by the progressive death of dopamine-producing neurons in the brain's substantia nigra. The pharmaceutical treatment, synthetic L-DOPA, combined with carbidopa, works but comes with documented side effects including dyskinesia, involuntary movements, nausea, and effectiveness that diminishes over time. In a landmark 2004 randomized crossover trial published in Neurology, Katzenschlager et al., whole mucuna seed powder was compared directly to synthetic levodopa in 8 Parkinson's patients. The mucuna preparation produced a faster onset of motor improvement by 23 minutes, longer duration of effect, and significantly lower rates of dyskinesia. The researchers concluded that mucuna's natural matrix, which includes additional alkaloids and compounds, may actually buffer the L-DOPA absorption in a way that pure synthetic L-DOPA does not. Subsequent studies have confirmed that standardized mucuna seed preparations contain between 250 mg and 1,500 mg of natural L-DOPA per dose depending on preparation method. Beyond Parkinson's, the dopamine precursor effects mean that mucuna has documented benefits for male fertility and testosterone. A 2009 study in Fertility and Sterility, Shukla et al., found that mucuna seed powder 5g/day for 3 months significantly improved sperm count, motility, and testosterone levels in infertile men, partly through L-DOPA-driven stimulation of luteinizing hormone. Stress and cortisol reduction. Mucuna contains serotonin, 5-HTP, and additional alkaloids that regulate the HPA, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Clinical studies show measurable reductions in serum cortisol with consistent use. Growth hormone stimulation. L-DOPA is a known stimulator of growth hormone release from the pituitary gland. Athletes and aging populations have used mucuna extracts for this effect. Nutritional profile per 100 g of processed mucuna seed. Protein, 2,309 g, comparable to soy. Crude fiber, 8 to 10 g. Iron, 6.5 mg. Phosphorus, 340 mg purge. Raw pre-processing. Mucuna is used as a high-protein livestock feed supplement in tropical Africa and Latin America. Research from the FAO confirms that when pods are properly processed, boiling removes anti-nutritional factors like tannins and trypsin inhibitors. Mucuna seed meal can replace 30–50% of conventional protein feed in poultry and pig rations, with no negative effects on growth or health. For the environment, Mucuna pruriens is one of agriculture's most powerful green manure crops. Its nitrogen fixation rebuilds degraded soils. Its dense vine coverage suppresses weed growth by up to 90%. IITA documented this in multiple West African field trials, reducing or eliminating herbicide use. Its deep root system reduces soil erosion on slopes, and its prolific flowering makes it a critical pollinator resource in tropical ecosystems where wild pollinator populations are under stress. This is a plant that heals people, feeds animals, and rebuilds land. Simultaneously, a bean that grows in degraded soil fixes its own nitrogen, suppresses weeds without chemicals, feeds livestock, restores eroded hillsides, and in its seeds carries one of the most important neurological molecules in the human body, exists right now. It is not locked behind a patent. It is not owned by a pharmaceutical company. It is a seed, an open-pollinated, freely reproducible seed that has been growing on this earth for thousands of years. That is the kind of plant worth growing. Seed preservation matters here more than most people realize. Mucuna pruriens has hundreds of landraces, locally adapted varieties developed over generations by farmers in India, Africa, and the Americas. Each of these carries slightly different L-DOPA concentrations, pod structures, and climate tolerances. As industrial agriculture homogenizes crop systems, these diverse varieties are disappearing. Organizations like the Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research, CGARA, and India's National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, NPPGR, actively collect and store mucuna germplasm for exactly this reason. But the most resilient seed bank in the world is millions of individual farmers and gardeners growing diverse varieties in real fields. If you grow mucuna pruriens, save your seeds, label them by location and year, share them with neighbors. That act, simple, ancient, and completely free, is one of the most powerful things a person can do for agricultural biodiversity. The economic case is equally compelling. Global demand for mucuna-based nutraceuticals and pharmaceutical L-DOPA is rising sharply. The global Parkinson's disease therapeutics market is valued at over $5.3 billion USD and growing. Natural L-DOPA from mucuna is increasingly sought by supplement manufacturers in North America, Europe, and Japan. Standardized mucuna seed extract sells for $40 to $120 USD per kilogram in wholesale markets, far above the farm gate price of most conventional legumes. For smallholder farmers in India, Nigeria, Ghana, and Brazil, mucuna offers a legitimate cash crop that also improves the soil for the following season's food crop. Several NGOs and agricultural development programs now specifically train farmers in mucuna processing and extract standardization as a poverty reduction strategy. At home, even a single large container planting can produce enough seed for personal supplementation and to share. Remember what this plant does. It grows where others fail. It heals what few plants can touch. It feeds animals, builds soil, and draws bees to its flowers in waves. Every part of it serves a purpose. That is not an accident of nature. That is millions of years of evolution producing something extraordinary. And we are lucky enough to be the species that figured out how to read it. The world has 850 million people living with neurological and mental health conditions involving dopamine dysregulation, Parkinson's, depression, ADHD, and more. The pharmaceutical system will never be able to reach all of them, but a seed can travel anywhere. A vine grows on any fence. This is the bean that your brain has been waiting for. Subscribe so you never miss a plant that could change how you see the world. Grow something, save something, pass it on.